going again. So remember that for the eye, you need to know that the medial canthus is the middle corner and the lateral canthus, nictitating membrane. The sclera is the white of the eye that you can see in front, but the sclera also runs all the way around the back of the eye. So the sclera is mostly what holds the eye together. It gives it structure. It's very tough, fibrous connective tissue. And if you look at the cut surface of the eye, the cornea is up front, and that is transparent on a living animal. Of course, this is preserved, so it's not completely transparent. It's been preserved. But there's the cornea. The sclera is the part that runs all the way around. So the pin right now would be in the sclera, okay? And that's part of what's called the fibrous tunic of the eye, and it is relatively quite thick. And as I said, that's what gives shape to the eyeball. All the muscles on the outside of the eye will attach to the sclera, etc. The iris is the front colored part of the eye, so we all have different colored irises. The pupil, and so on the cut eye, this little flappy bit here is the iris. Iris. And the pupil is the hole in the middle. The pupil's not a physical structure, it's a hole through which light passes. Okay. The limbus is in your picture package, okay, and it's the part of the dark ring around the iris where the cornea meets the sclera. That's where you see it. So if you look at Jamie's eyes and Kim's eyes, I'm not going to do this. Okay, anybody with light eyes, Amanda's eyes, has a nice limbus because you can see the dark ring around. Jamie's is pretty dark. Amanda's not quite so much. Amy's you can see quite good. Iris, forget it. Ain't going to see a limbus on Iris's eyes because they're too dark. Okay, so that's what you're looking at. Okay, so that's the limbus, and it is in your pictures. Those of you who only took the colored pictures to photocopy, you need that black and white package. I'm just realizing that because there's a bunch of other stuff in there. So pass that on. I should make an email. Okay. So on the undissected eye, okay, you can see the extrinsic eye muscles that are attached there. We're going to name them on the in lecture, but I'm not going to pin these guys. They're just eye muscles, extrinsic because they're on the outside of the eye. And of course the sclera being the white of the eye, the cornea being the supposed transparent surface. And the optic nerve will exit out the back of the eye. So there's a lot of tissue in here, but the optic nerve is there. Some of the eyeballs have the optic nerve cut a little bit longer. So we'll see that on the brain too, the optic nerve where it comes off. So the sagittal dissection of the eye, again, okay, the cornea being the transparent outer surface, the sclera here. There's three tunics that make up the eye. As I said, the fibrous tunic is the outer one. The next layer in is called the vascular tunic because it's got a lot of blood vessels in it, okay? And it's also dark. So this whole dark colored section all the way here is part of the vascular tunic, and that includes the iris and the ciliary body, which is this thickened ring. Okay, it goes all the way around. It's a complete circle. You can have a closer look if you want afterwards too, but it's this thickened ring. So when I pin it, the iris is the flappy bit right beside the pupil. The ciliary body is quite a bit thicker, and it looks kind of striated. It looks striated because there's suspensory ligaments. See this lens here? This is the lens, okay, sitting up right like that. The ciliary body has suspensory ligaments coming from it that hold the lens in place, and it also has smooth muscles in it that change the shape of the lens for focusing. Okay, and we will do this in class. The function of this is not so much. So there's the lens, and so that changes shape in order to focus either close up or far away. The eye is filled with fluid, and there's 2 fluid chambers. Well, there's technically 3, but the biggest chamber here is in the back, and it's called the vitreous chamber, and it's filled with vitreous humor. It's just a jelly-like liquid, and that helps you see. Then the front part of the eye has 2 separate parts to the chamber. The part between the cornea and the iris is called the anterior chamber, and then the small chamber between the iris and the lens is called the posterior chamber. It's not my fault. I didn't name it. I know posterior, you want to call this the posterior chamber. Don't, because it's wrong. Okay? This is in the back part of the eye, but the posterior chamber is in the front part of the eye between the iris and the lens, and I'll emphasize that again when we do it in class. And it's filled with a watery liquid, and that is secreted by the ciliary body. So the ciliary body has a number of functions, none of which I will ask you on this test. It'll be on the final. Okay, so there's the lens. So, and then the vascular tunic has 3 parts to it: the iris, the ciliary body, and then this whole back part here, the black back part, is the still part of the vascular tunic, and it sits right up against the sclera. And I'll talk to you about the function of that later. The third tunic is called the neural tunic, and it contains the photoreceptors, the neurons that are the photoreceptors for the eye, the rods and the cones. So the retina is the name of the neural tunic, and it's this beige stuff here that I can pick up. Okay, I'm detaching the retina. Okay, so that's the retina, and its function is that it contains the rods and the cones for vision. Okay, the photoreceptors. Okay, the other neat thing about the choroid is that it contains, in some animals, I turned this upside down for a reason, the choroid in some animals contains a shiny reflective part to it. It is part of the choroid. Isn't that pretty? It's like mother of pearl. And it's called the tapetum lucidum. So that's the reflective part, and it helps, what it does is it does reflect, and it bounces the light around so that the rods and cones can pick up more light, and so it helps animals see in low light vision. We don't have a tapetum lucidum, which is why our night vision is very poor. Okay, cool, eh? And
similar to cats?
I'm sorry?
Is that similar to cats then?
Yes, cats have a tapetum lucidum. So how do you know if an animal has a tapetum lucidum? What you do is shine a light into its eyes. If you shine a light into our eyes, what color does it come back as? When you see in a camera?
Red.
Red eye, okay? Because we don't have a tapetum lucidum, it's red because this is the vascular tunic, and because our red blood cells are red, you're seeing red eye coming back at you. What color do your eyes, or your cat's eyes, shine back at? Kind of greeny. Usually it's a greeny whitey, and that's because it's shining off the tapetum lucidum. So that's the reason for animals. So deer, this is a cow. They have tapetum. So pigs do not. No, pigs don't. Pigs are like ours. And then the other interesting thing here is that I've picked the retina right off of this so that we could see the tapetum lucidum really well. But the rods and the cones are all dendrites, okay? The rods and the cones all in the retina, and the dendrites, they're really long dendrites, all the dendrites get together, like run and collect and gather and then exit the eye at the back to form, what do you want to call it? It's the optic nerve. Optic nerve. There you go, the retinal nerve. Close, okay, the optic nerve. And we'll do this on Monday, actually, talk about the optic nerve as a sensory nerve and comes out the back of the eye, goes to the brain, and we'll see in the brain where the optic nerve then comes out. Do you know where your vision center of your brain is? Does anybody know that? It's in the back. It's in the occipital lobe, which is why if anybody gets injured in the back of the head, like a blow to the back of the head, or an animal, you're concerned about loss of vision. And you're like, but my eyes are up front. I got hit in the back of the head. Why are you worried? Because you could damage your vision center in the back. And that's it. Done. Okay.